Hello and welcome to the 2024 National Futsal Series Grand Finals Highlight Show, as brought to you by Into Futsal, with your hosts, me, Isaac Barrington, and Quentin Casey. Well, Quentin, we have both the women's Tier 1 and the men's Tier 1 Grand Finals to bring to the viewers today. We'll start with the women's national final then. What were your thoughts heading into this one?
Yeah, a bit of a weird one based on kind of what's happened in the playoffs. Obviously, Bloomsbury fighting back, but obviously missing out on the final through again just another technicality. So we'll take another rule break. So I imagine they'll be really disappointed in that. Bolton, obviously, we'll speak to Laura shortly, but I think those guys, once they'd lost that game, probably would have mentally signed out for the summer. So to get yourself back up for it would have been quite the task, and I imagine the preparation wasn't ideal. Same for Helvetia, not knowing who they're effectively going to be playing until I don't know when they found out, but a bit later on. I think the whole preparation would have been a bit odd because of that. But I think over the season, I think Bolton deserved to kind of get their place in the final by hook or by crook, and they've had some brilliant displays this year, and I think they were worthy of kind of a second chance at the whip. And yeah, it was a brilliant game. It was great to see on TNT again, and obviously the lights and the cameras and everything that it brings. So no, it was a brilliant day.
Yeah, well, let's get straight into it then with the highlights and also interviews with both of the head coaches. It's the Women's Tier 1 National Futsal Series Grand Final between London Helvetia and Bolton. And joining us now, we're delighted to welcome on Bolton's Laura Tobin. Laura, firstly, commiserations on the result at the weekend, but in terms of the season overall and looking at it from that point of view, how do you reflect on the overall campaign?
Yeah, no, really happy with the season overall, really. I know obviously we got not to win at the weekend, but I think, to be honest, we were tired after a long season. It's been a long slog for us, but overall, really happy with the season. Like, we won the league and we didn't really set any expectations anyway to win anything. We just wanted to learn more about futsal and enjoy ourselves, and I think we've done that. So yeah, happy with the season.
For the game at the weekend, then obviously you were without Kirsty Corral. How big a miss was she to the team overall, and the way in which you've gone about games this season and couldn't without her there at the weekend?
Yeah, we got it. Kirsty couldn't be there. She's an unbelievable player. She's class on and off court as well. She's just good to have around. Um, Obviously it's one of those things. She couldn't play, so nothing really we can do. But in terms of the player, like, she is a big miss in terms of what she can do on court, but off court as well. Just being around, she's got a lot of experience and she's just funny as well. So it's good to have her around.
And Laura, so obviously during the league campaign, there was no kind of real pressure on you until the end when it was kind of coming up to the time where you could win it. And obviously, as you get into the playoffs, that's when the pressure really starts to come, and there's obviously big opportunities to win the playoffs. But did you kind of feel that pressure in the playoffs in comparison to the league? I know that obviously how the semi-final had kind of played out, and obviously playing Helvetia that you'd been beaten by previously. Did it kind of have a different feel in the final?
No, weirdly, to be honest, it was the opposite way for me. Personally, for the team, I don't know how they felt. I think it's just one of those things. Everyone's nervous usually in a final, but for me, I think the season, the way it had gone, like, it felt like forever at some times. To be honest, we're trying to get over the line to actually win the league because we came so close. Because if we did lose to Helvetia in the league, then it started becoming like, oh, they've lost now, and that became like a bit of its own story. But for us, it was never like that. But then obviously other people talking about things, expecting you to win everything, then becomes a bit of a pressure in that sense. But to be honest, I think the playoffs, I actually enjoyed the playoffs more than probably the last couple of games in the season, because we'd already done our job in the league, and I just thought now it's my time to actually focus on playing as well. So that's why when I spoke to Stuart Cook about taking our training and helping us out a lot there, it sort of took that off me where I could enjoy futsal a little bit more as a player as well. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Obviously, you picked up the award at the weekend for the Player of the Season. So how important, how good was it to have someone like Stuart? And obviously, I think you mentioned that Payne had come in as well to kind of help with the coaching to kind of ease that stress on yourself so you can focus on playing.
Yeah, I think it was a bit mad really how I started coaching. At the start of the season, we had someone coming in, but he wasn't really committed, so it was kind of like in for 2 sessions, I think it was, and then we were kind of left to ourselves, like, what we're going to do. So when I had that chat with like Cookie and that, and they said, well, why don't you take it for a bit and then we'll see how it goes. And it just sort of stemmed like that. And I'm glad I've done it now because it's given me the confidence to go into coaching a bit more. But I think in terms of playing, you do get sort of sometimes caught in the middle. And it was nice just to focus on playing for a little bit because towards like the end of the season, like the regular season, it was a bit like trying to keep everybody happy in one sense in the team, but then try and focus on my own game as well. And when you feel like you're having a dip in performance in that sense, but trying to keep the team going, it's kind of like a battle between yourself and that really. But yeah, we've had Joe Payne coming into training, like Logan as well. Like just unbelievable support really from the club in terms of we've been training with the development team. So our tier 2 men's team are obviously really class. Like you've seen what they've done in their league as well. So to have them pushing us just to get that bit of intensity, and to be fair, they all shout at me, and sometimes I need that.
Yeah, and in the game itself, I think obviously there were some good individual performances in there. It felt as though, to me, and might have been to yourself and Isaac as well, that kind of just as you kind of get a foothold in the game, just as you seem to get a bit of control, they seem to kind of sucker punch you with a goal at the other end. Is that kind of how you saw it as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think the game, like in terms of playing like 4v4, was pretty normal, to be honest. I feel like we had lots of good chances. I think we had a lot of good play that we've been working on in training. But then sometimes you just like once like slip in concentration, like someone not tracking or not quite covering the pivot, whatever we were doing. It sometimes just goes like that, and that's all right. It happens in futsal, and it's something that we learn from. But in terms of our individual performances, I thought we did well. Like Layla Booth, she always tells me off because I just say different gravy because she's unbelievable. But I think she had a great game. And it's the same with a lot of them. Like Emily Hutton had a great game. I think Bex Foster had a great game. I think there's lots of players who stepped up, and it is nice that we're having that where we can start relying on each other a bit more in that sense. So it was good.
And then heading into next season, obviously it was a brilliant league campaign, and I assume you want to progress into next year. How important do you think the rough process you've had through the playoffs will give you into next season and hopefully into a playoff campaign next year?
Yeah, I think that's an important one, really. Like we did lose, and obviously as a player, you are gutted to lose, and I am gutted for the team, like as a coach as well. But I actually think it's a learning curve for us. Like we didn't really expect to be in the playoff finals when we started the season. We just wanted to play and learn more. And this year has been a bit of a transition for us. And I'm hoping next season you'll see us develop more into a futsal side as well. Like we've all come together. We were just a group of mates. Like a lot of us play football together as well. And I sort of rounded everybody up and was like, come on, we've got this to play. And it just started like that really. And just like having lots of fun on the way, to be honest. Like the banter's non-stop in our group chat. I just think it's good to have people there that you're close with who also want to be better at futsal. So at the start of the season, we just wanted to play. And I think a lot of it from the seasons before playing under Vito and having Mick, like I know I learned a lot of the basics of futsal in terms of defending, so like defending that diamond. Whereas with me this year, it's kind of been a bit more freedom. And that's where I'll learn as a coach to learn that futsal. But I think what I am good at, I'm not very good at talking about what I'm good at, but I do think I help people believe in themselves a bit more and give them that freedom to play. And I hope that the team think that too. And that's like with the player of the season. I won't be happy until my own team think I deserve it. So I got to stick off Layla for that one. So once I know that Layla thinks I'm good enough, then I've made it in life.
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Laura. Great to have you on, and yeah, good luck moving forward to next season as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
And joining us now, we are delighted to welcome the London Helvetia head coach, Enrique Guillen. Enrique, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations, of course, on the victory in the Women's Super Series at the weekend again. Just how much does it mean to you and the group of players to win the playoffs this season?
Oh, hello, thank you for having me. And yes, it means a lot for us. It means a lot for the girls, obviously. And for me personally, it was a struggle the whole year, but we managed to get through and we managed to put a good performance on the last day. So everybody was quite happy.
And in terms of the game itself, how important was it to make such a strong start to the game and score the goals so early on that you did in the first half?
It was really good to start from the girls. I think they were switch ons from the warm up. We talk about it. We think we got the experience of the final the week before. and it helped us to get prepared and not to think that because we beat them 5-1, 5-1 the previous matches, it's going to be an easy game. But it proved they were ready from the start, and we managed to get a good start, and that made a huge difference through the whole game.
Enrique, in the game, obviously you started really well, and then as Bolton seemed to get kind of themselves back into the game, you seemed to score at some really good times, notably kind of just after they scored, just after half time. How important do you think it was to kind of kill their momentum just as they were kind of getting going?
I think it's all down to preparation. I think we prepared the game really well through the week. We knew Bolton, we knew the players, we knew each player, what they're going to do, game plan. We prepared everything, and we knew when to hurt the team. I know they're going to come and press us, so we prepared for that. And it proved, I think, we scored whenever we needed. The girls, they managed to score. We scored doing the fly keeper. We know the struggle to defend that, so I knew if we're doing that, we're going to score goals. The first, I think the second and third goal was using the fly keeper, and the goal we scored as soon as we start, I think was fly keeper as well. And when they got the momentum, they went to 6-2. I put the players back again. We used the fly keeper and we scored again. So we knew how to hurt the team. So it wasn't a big surprise. The score might seem big to you guys, but we were not surprised to have that score. I think we prepared the game really well with the guys.
Yeah, and you mentioned there obviously the key players in the team. How good is it to have kind of those match-winning players and those players that can kind of implement different styles? So obviously you said that you'd noticed that Bolton struggled against the fly goalkeeper, kind of having the players within your side to be able to implement that at the drop of a hat or whenever you require.
It's really important. It's really important to have the full team. I think this year we have the full team in 2 occasions. I think when we played the first game against Birmingham on playoff, we have the full team. And on the final, we have the full team. In both games, we never struggle. We dominate the whole game. And it shows when you have the full team, the strength of the team is there. So we can deal with any team, and hopefully we grow and we get better. But it's really important the way we play is very, all players know what we're doing. And it's really important they buy into that and they agree with what we're trying to do, and they're all happy to do it.
Yep, thank you.
Enrique, just finally, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned a little bit there about fly goalkeeper, both defending it and attacking with fly goalkeeper. How impressed have you been this season with your goalkeeper, Alicia Grimmond, and her progression this season as well? How impressive has she been, and how important a player in your team as well is she now?
It's really important, and the development of Alicia has been amazing. I mean, thinking that Alicia joined us when she was 16, and she's only 20. I think she's as younger as, I think it's one of the youngest goalkeepers on the league with the Bolton goalkeeper. I don't remember the name now. So. I think it's really, really young. And the fact, to be honest, I would love to take credit for her development and the way things, but she's working with Tony Elliott once a month on the England camps, and he can show through the year how important that job of Tony Elliott is doing with her, because he's full of confidence, shop stopping is there. I mean, playing outfield, she can play outfield. When she was injured at the beginning of the year, she couldn't play in goal. She was playing as a pivot on the wing, and she done really well. So all that experience, it shows when we need to do the fly keeper, we don't need to change the player, which is an advantage. And she can play both sides, either left or right side. I'm quite confident she can score goals. I think she scored 4 goals for us this year, but she assists as well in 6 or 7 goals. So I'm quite happy with her development and shop stopping and everything. I think she improved a lot now as well on the distribution. which is one of the things that we work on that. But so far, it's amazing the way she's developing, and I think the good thing for her is that still a lot more to come. Still a lot more to come because she's willing to work hard. She wants to work hard. She wants to train. She wants to work with Tony Elliott. He's happy doing that. So it's amazing. I'm really, really glad for her. And I'm hoping that carry on doing the same thing.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, and thanks a lot for joining us this evening. A big congratulations on winning the Women's Super Series as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Isaac. Thank you.
Well, great to hear there then from both of the head coaches from the Women's National Final. Quentin, what was your thoughts on the game overall after watching how it played out?
Yeah, obviously I watched it at home, and you were there live in the flesh, so probably got a better feel of the game. But again, it was a tough start for Bolton, and I think Matt mentioned on commentary that he could kind of sense the nerves within the group, and that definitely showed early on. Helvetia kind of controlled it throughout, and kind of came good at the end. Not a great league campaign for them. Obviously, Bolton did the business over the league and have developed massively over the year, and will take massive learnings from this. But again, Helvetia come out on top and do what they do best, and have done for a long time. They've got players in there that have been there for a long time and played the game at that level for as long as the league's been around. So no, credit to them. They've done it when they needed to, and they've done it in style, really.
Excellent stuff. Well, swiftly moving on to our next game then, the main event from the weekend, the Men's Tier 1 National Futsal Series Grand Final in 2024. From the Repton Sports Centre, it's Manchester up against Bloomsbury. Well, joining us now, we're delighted to welcome back on Bloomsbury's Richard Ward. Wardy, commiserations on the result at the weekend. How did you assess the game overall from your point of view?
Thanks, Isaac, and hi, gents. Obviously, really terrible result for us. Ultimately, as I'll probably come to repeat, it wasn't a great game for the neutral. But ultimately, I think Manchester had a game plan which they delivered, and we didn't. And yeah, credit to them and congrats to that Manchester. Hope they do well in the Champions League.
Excellent, thank you.
So, Wardy, obviously, it's a bit different to how last year's final was played out. I think you'd kind of gone into that one on a massive high, and whether you say it or not, kind of you were going in probably the underdogs. Did it have a different feel to kind of last year's final?
Well, on the underdog comment, I think in terms of the league table underdogs, but I think in terms of the squad that Bloomsbury have and had, I think it was probably the stronger squad on paper. Whereas I think Manchester this season, they've had really good teamwork, really, really big togetherness. And I think their kind of common drive was ultimately what got them the result on Sunday, I think. So massive credit to them in that regard. But yeah, definitely coming into the final, having not had the same squad out week in, week out is a massive factor. And that being said, I still think we could have got a result on the day. I don't think it was a spectacular game, but we didn't take or create that many chances to deserve it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I think the game was quite, I don't want to say cagey, but I think the court as well at Repton kind of made it that kind of compact and kind of you're missing a lot of the space on the court that you probably makes it a much better game. Did you think that had an impact on kind of what you wanted to do?
Not really. I think we adapt well to most courts. I think, in fact, personally, I think a wider court would have favoured Manchester. But I think what they did better was they had a clearer game plan, and they definitely took a lot of lessons from last season's final. I think they played zero risk futsal for the majority of the game, whereas we lost the ball in the centre of the court and gave transitions away, which is what we wanted to do but didn't execute. And when you're talking about a final, it's those final margins that you have to execute if you want to come away with a result. And that being said, I think Miles had an incredible game, second half in particular, because he didn't do anything in the first half. He was chilling. But second half, he deservedly got that man of the match because that's some really good saves.
Yeah, and I think that something you'd kind of said during the half time that you needed to work Miles, because ultimately you kind of had possessions in which you were kind of creating openings but not really testing him too much. And Manchester kind of matched you in the first half, I thought.
I think Manchester were better first half. We didn't. I don't think we had any openings, to be honest. I think Manchester had 3 or 4 transitions, and Johnny Sim kept us in the game with some incredible saves. But yeah, first half definitely Manchester. Second half was a different story. I think we were dominant. Manchester were playing a very clear kick it long, gave us the ball back, we attack kind of game. I think it was back to the wall from their side, but they had the resolve and the determination to withstand our attacks. And I don't think we had enough quality when it came to us trying to do that.
We spoke about off air just briefly that the 2 moments that kind of really decided the game were, and I'm not going to pinpoint individuals, but kind of individual moments or errors that have kind of cost you the goals. Does that make it easier to take or harder to take the result, being the fact that Manchester didn't really score a goal that was kind of well put together?
Yeah, I mean, we said it was a terrible game for the neutral. Despite what Lou Melville's tweet said, I think it was an awful game, and I watched it back, and I don't think it was any better. Yeah, it's 2 completely uncharacteristic errors, and I think, I mean, both Dimar and T absolutely devastated after, but not a single player in the team would say it was their fault. I think those things happen. I don't think it's their fault. They're the reason we lost. I think we could have done far more to help them, not only in not creating the situation which led to that, what happened, but in the whole management of the game. I think we could have done a lot better. And I'd love to play them again tomorrow, but unfortunately we can't.
And then into next season, obviously, you're going to get another chance next season. Do you think what's kind of happening with the group? Is there going to be much change, or is it kind of just fine tweaking a few things? Obviously, we've mentioned before you come on that you're going to have a new manager who's going to get a fresh run at a pre-season and kind of implementing his own ways. Do you expect much change?
Yeah, I do expect a significant amount of change. I think a lot of people are kind of going different ways for one reason or another. But I think it's been a very special group of players that I've been involved with at the club for the last 4 years, culminating in sort of Champions League last year and parts of this season. But obviously the title last season will live with me forever. So that was an amazing group. And regardless of where they end up, I think Bloomsbury will always be able to get a good core of players together and challenge next season. But yeah, I've got no idea what's happened with anyone really yet.
All right, Jane, what do you mean?
Audie, just to pick you up on one of the things you said in a couple of questions back, you mentioned that you thought maybe the Manchester had a more clear game plan than yourselves. Is there any sort of regrets in terms of the preparation from your team going into the game, or just how it played out on court?
I don't think they had a more clear game plan by any means. I think we had a very clear game plan. I think Manchester executed their game plan, whereas we did not. I don't like their game plan. It's something Bolton have done effectively against us in the past. And if it works, if I was against us, I would do it. Long balls, low risk, try and win that second ball. Heavy on transitions. It's hard for us to play against. We should do better because we've come up against it a lot of times, and it's a clear area that teams should focus on for us. And in terms of our game plan, I think, yeah, like I said, I'd love to play the game again because I just don't think we actually implemented what we can implement. But ultimately, I don't even think it was game plan. I think it was individual quality that let us down.
Excellent. Thanks for clarifying that, and commiserations again on the result of the weekend. But yeah, best of luck moving forward for yourself, however that might be. So yeah, thanks for coming on again.
Thanks. I'm not sure who it is you've gone from Manchester tonight, but have they already done it? Do they look really smug?
No, it will be following this actually.
Right. Can you tell me who it is?
It's Edgy, isn't it? I think.
Our manager.
Yeah.
Good luck, Eddie. Well done, mate.
Thank you. And joining us now, I'm delighted to say that we have both the Manchester coach Sam Richardson and captain Jordan Edge. Well, congratulations to you both. It must feel such an ecstatic feeling, really. Sam, we'll start with you. How does it feel to achieve this Champions League qualification after the 2 defeats in the last 2 previous years? Does that make that qualification this year a little bit more sweet as well?
Well, yeah, I think in hindsight, it does. Obviously, it didn't really help at the time of the game. It probably made it worse. Saying earlier is that you could tangibly feel the pressure in the second half. not just of obviously Bloomsbury, but of the fact that we'd come that close in the last 2 seasons, and obviously we've done so well this season. It's like we had to get it across the line. So I think the relief is more than anything else. Yeah, we finally did it. I think I've said previously and on the day, we've been progressing those last couple of seasons, especially. We've been building within that, so we've been getting stronger as a team, but also we've been building. So coming out being unbeaten, winning the league, winning the cup, so it's just great that we could get it across the line.
And Jordan, to come to you as well, how did that final feel to play in as a player out there on court? And did you notice any differences between the first and second halves?
Yeah, I could definitely feel a difference between the first and second half. It was mainly what Sam touched on. Like it was more like the relief of it, because I think in the back of the players' mind there was the pressure of being in 2 finals before and not getting it over the line. So I think first half it was more like our game, like we were playing very well. I thought we had a lot of chances, and then second half I think it did sink into some players' minds that we do need to get this across the line. So there was the added pressure. So yeah, a lot of relief. It was a good game to play in. Very good watch, I'm sure, for like a neutral. So we're happy got it over the line anyway.
Excellent.
Sam, from me, obviously we've just spoke to Wardy, and he said that kind of you guys had come with a game plan to kind of mitigate what they were going to come with. Did you kind of look at the games that they'd struggled in this year and kind of look to counteract what other teams had done, or kind of or the games that you played against them this year, kind of how did you put that game plan together?
Yeah, it's a mixture of all those things. I think obviously we've got to consider how they play. They obviously generally play with a pivot. I think actually, weirdly, the last season in the grand final, they're probably more effective in normal play with their 4-0 than the pivot play. But I think we have to consider also Repton and the dimensions of how that plays out. I think it suits their game a lot more than it does suit ours, although we've done quite well in previous games to start adjusting to that. So we considered that, and obviously we don't have to see how they did against of the team. So looking at the games that they played at Repton, so it's in the same dimensions. But also, one big thing was obviously how they'd done against Maidenhead and Bolton. Like the last couple of months, the last couple of games where they'd struggled. Obviously, Gunnersbury's similar with Repton's dimensions, but it's a slower court that we found that when we played. It's the similar dimensions, but it's a slower court. And obviously, the way Bolton played, they were very direct, and Bloomsbury really struggled to put anything together. And I think we identified 3 or 4 areas of where they had potential threats and how we might adjust our game. And so it was like accumulation of all of those things. And obviously we had to trust ourselves. That I think underneath all of that, we've continued to say this, it's like our training also, we knew we'd come through, we'd be intense, we'd match them throughout whatever we had to do. And obviously in the second half, we did that defensively more than anything else.
And Edgy, this year, I think it's fair in saying that you were probably the favourites, having won the league and just won the cup. In the previous 2 seasons, probably coming in as slight underdogs. Did that give it a different feel as a player from your point of view?
Yeah, I was saying that in an interview right after the game. I feel like going into the Helvetia game, it was the first grand final for us. I don't think anyone expected anything of us. So it was kind of a free hit in terms of like just giving it a go. Similar feel, I thought personally, in the Bloomsbury game. Like we didn't go into that favourites. Like Bloomsbury were undefeated in the league as well that season. But this season, especially with being in the 2 finals and being undefeated, like you say, it's one of them where we have to do it. Like the pressure is on us to do it, because if we weren't going to do it this season, like when are we going to do it? So it was a different feel to the last few seasons. Anyway, I feel like the boys have more confidence in themselves this season. I did feel that, especially with the semi-final results and the cup final result, like a 9-0 the week before in a final. I think that gives them a bit of self-confidence, especially playing on the same court as well, because we did think like earlier on in the season that we would struggle on that court quite a bit, especially with the Derby 5-4 result. I think some players had it in the back of their mind that we'd struggle on there, but no, I think going into the game, it was a different feel, and I think the lads dealt with it really well. I think it was a really good game plan.
So then we spoke about the goalkeepers just before we came on, but I think obviously Johnny Sim had a brilliant game, a brilliant first half in shot stop, and then Dimar kind of changes the game in the way he's kind of able to play with his feet. Do you think that goalkeeper change kind of brought them back into the game? Because realistically, first off, they didn't have Miles had nothing to do really. Sam, for yourself.
Yeah, so well, the only chance I remember them having is actually the chance that Jamie had when he took that shot and deflected off Adji and went for the corner, and then we scored off the corner. So I can't actually remember them really testing the goal. And to be honest, we dealt really well with just normal play. Like, sometimes we're getting into the pivot, but I think we're doing really well to deal with that. If they broke that line and got into the pivot, playing off the pivot, I think they really struggled and got frustrated, and that's why they had to move to the goalkeeper and use Damar in the second half. So I think Johnny did really well. There was a couple of chances, we could have done maybe slightly better, but he did really well with anything that we had, except for obviously the goal. And the goal, he didn't really have much chance to do, and he did quite well. Scott did really well to not panic as well. But I think, the second half, Damar definitely gave them that option because, other than like we were talking about earlier with the accumulation of the pressure from the restarts, that when they started getting a couple of kick-ins, especially early on in the game, particularly looking back, obviously it's easy to see it looking back, but Damar allowed them to have that extra player, and I think they started building the pressure. So we were feeling that pressure already, like Edgy was saying, that all in the back of our mind. We're 1-0 up, finally. We're ahead in the first in going into the second half. We've got all of that pressure, and then they've got like an extra player a lot of the time when they're playing, and they were just getting into the game and getting more comfortable because they had that extra player. So it definitely helped them as far as an attacking sense, because I still don't think within that phase of the second half they really created too much either in the normal play. So it was more down to those restarts and using Damar. Yeah.
Then you for yourself, an incredible season, and we've just seen that you've obviously got the Player of the Year award for Tier 1, and you might feature in our team of the season as well, which is obviously going to be after this. But how do you think the season's gone for yourself? Brilliant, but obviously now, is there time to take a break, or is it focus on hopefully in the England squad and then the Champions League as well?
Yeah, personally, I feel like I'm quite harsh on myself when it comes to like judging myself. I always feel like I can do better, even if I've scored like most goals for the team this season, like got the Player of the Year award. I still always try and like, I'm always thinking how can I better myself. I am already looking forward to the Champions League. We've got an England camp as well next week, so there's that to think about. We've got the Euros in December, so I'm hoping to get into that team and solidify a spot there. Yeah, no, it has been a good season though. I'm happy I could help the team more this season. Like last season, I was like riddled with injuries, as Sam would know. So I couldn't really help the team as much as I wanted to last season. So I'm happy. I'm happy with the way it's ended because I did put a lot into pre-season last season. Like changed, like diet got changed, like training got changed, got a PT in. So I'm glad to see all that pay off. So yeah, no, it's been good. I don't think I would have got the recognition I have done without some of the players that I've been playing with. Like some players don't get the recognition they deserve. Like I think Jake's had an incredible season. I think Scott's been really amazing. Miles shown how good he is in goal over the weekend as well, and he's been like that all season as well. And that's just a few of them. So I think it has definitely been a team effort this season. I wouldn't put it down to just like myself and like one or two. I think there's been a good 7 or 8 players in our team this season, and that's the reason we've come away with a treble.
That's it for me. Anything else, Isaac?
Yeah, just to finish off, Sam, what will your preparations look like for the Champions League then? Have you been able to think about that at all? How do you envisage that sort of preparation stage for that competition going?
Well, yeah. So, I tried to have a rest and obviously then get that email through straight away the next day. So, yeah, we're thinking about that. I think but I'll speak to Juan from Bloomsbury. He's offered his advice already. Obviously, take as much advice as possible of other people's learnings and stuff like that. I think it's really important. I don't know if this happened with Bloomsbury last year, but I think it was difficult to come back in because people have got holidays. So we need to appreciate that people need to have a rest and a bit of downtime as well. So we won't do too much in June. Probably start coming back tail end of July. We might do a couple of things within that just to keep everyone on the toes. Obviously, everyone have to look after the fitness and conditioning, and then coming into probably the end of July, we'll be looking to do, probably like a month's work before we get into the dates. Obviously, July 4th, we'll find out who we're playing, where that'll be. So that will also dictate what we can do. And then also we've got to try and find the teams at a similar level that we can play, because obviously a lot of teams will be off in England. So we've got a lot of organisation to do. But I think all the guys realise that we've got into the Champions League, we've got the treble. That's great. Now it's like you don't get too much of a rest break. Actually, like, it's great, we can celebrate, but now actually you've got to keep yourselves. You've got to maybe even step up another level and take it even more seriously if you want to go and prove what you can do there. So we're looking forward to it. But lots to do.
Excellent. Well, exciting times, and thank you both very much for joining us this evening, and good luck in the European adventures. So thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, Quentin, what a final that was, and a huge congratulations to Manchester there, booking their place in Europe as well for next season. It was an excellent showcase for English futsal at the top level in the country, wasn't it?
Yeah, like I say, brilliant day. Repton was rammed, looked really good. And the game was quality, played at such a tempo. Two teams that have kind of, Bloomsbury have done it before, Manchester trying to do it for the first time, and kind of the story that's been building throughout the year kind of arriving at Repton on Sunday, and it was a brilliant game, and well done to everyone that played their part, players and coaches, because it really kind of did display how, like, where the level is in this country and kind of where we want it to get to.
And just a word for Bloomsbury as well, obviously falling short just at the final hurdle this year, but I'm sure they'll be back next season as well, and again competing at the top end of Tier 1 for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they've got quality throughout the ranks. They've also got a lot of experience in there, played in the Champions League last year, got players in the England group, so they've got players to kind of go again. I think somebody mentioned in the coverage that they thought that might kind of be the end of the cycle for that group, but I think there's definitely more to come from that group. They might need to kind of grow it, or they might need to tweak a few things. Kind of Sam's got kind of a full pre-season now to kind of implement what he wants. The changing coach in the middle of the season probably wasn't ideal, because he's got his own ideas. Juan's obviously finished with the group, and it probably wasn't ideal. But no, I think that group will go again. They've got real quality throughout, and they'll definitely be back.
Yeah, well, moving on to the team of the season section then today for the men's Tier 1 competition. It's usually the team of the week, of course, which we give you at this stage, but the team of the season is what we've gone with today across all of the course of the season. So Quentin, if you want to start us off, this is something that obviously we've discussed between ourselves off there. It's been a very difficult decision as well to narrow this down to just 5, but if you want to start us off with the first couple of names.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with goalkeeper, one we've mentioned about. We spoke with Sean Kitson, and we kind of mentioned that a lot of the goalkeepers aren't playing the full 40 minutes. And I think that kind of has probably impacted our thought on this. It did limit it to probably between Ben Laz and Miles Chadwick, of course. I know we didn't kind of want to go with the recency bias. Miles was incredible in the final, but I think over the season, Ben Laz has probably earned his side more points. That I think there was some games, if I remember the Wessex game and another game where they kind of come from behind quite late on. I think Ben kind of kept him in the game throughout that, and probably earned his team more points than Miles did throughout the season, despite a really good second half of the season.
Yeah, so Ben Lazarus, the goalkeeper, and if you want to give us a second name as well, Quentin.
Yeah, I'm going to go the easy one. I'm going to steal it, I'm afraid. Isaac, I'm going to go with Edgy. I think player of the season, absolutely no doubts, kind of led that squad, captain, kind of set an example on the pitch. Brilliant seasons, and no one will be questioning that one.
Yeah, so then 3 more to go. We've also gone with another from Manchester as the league winners, Jeff Adu before, who has really been such a key figure in their squad and team throughout the season as well. So Jeff is in there alongside Edgy as well. And then Connor Miller from Bloomsbury. He's been tremendous throughout the course of the season, has really had an excellent campaign in front of goal, as well as in all aspects of the game, really. So, yeah, those are the 2 that we've gone with there. And the final name, Quentin?
Lastly, so a couple of notable mentions. So not making it into the team of the season, but probably ones we spoke about were probably Jamie Brooker, who's been brilliant, played every single game this season, been in the squad every single game, come on massively, and obviously from his being involved in the England 19s has had a brilliant season after that. And lots to come from him, and probably one that's missed out on the inclusion of Connor Miller is probably Sam McGrath, because I don't think we need both of them in the side, but he's had a brilliant season, probably more second half of the season, and kind of scored the goals where Bolton have kind of lacked at times. But the player that's made it is Jordan Matthews. I think he's been brilliant again for them. He's the player they look to all the time to score the goals, do the business. Again, they got points where they needed to this year by kind of all chipping in, but player for player, I don't think there's anyone else that you'd put in that team over him. I think he's brilliant week in, week out, always available, always fit, and again, a brilliant season from him.
Yeah, well, excellent stuff. So, as we say, a very difficult decision to pick those 5 players for the all-important team of the season, but we've gone with goalkeeper Ben Lazarus, Jeff before, Jordan Edge, Connor Miller, and Jordan Matthews. That makes up into futsal team of the season for season 23-24. Well, Quentin, I think that's just about all we've got time for. Any closing remarks just to finish off? It's been great to be able to bring the viewers all of the highlights since we've started this show to really showcase the National Futsal Series.
Yeah, no, it's been good fun. It's been hard work. I hope the viewers have enjoyed it. We've definitely enjoyed putting it together. Hopefully we can do it all again next year. But no, it's been brilliant. Hopefully we've kind of brought some eyes to the game, and also kind of made it a lot easier for people to keep up to date with what's going on, and hopefully create that narrative a bit more into next season. But no, thanks for your help as well, mate. It's been brilliant working with you on this, and yeah, cheers for your help.
You too, mate. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much to all of you watching on at home as well, not just today, but throughout the course of all of the episodes this season. And we finish off by saying a huge congratulations to our women's Tier 1 winners, London Helvetia, and our men's Tier 1 winners, who are this year Manchester. Goodbye.